Hare Krishna everyone, and we are starting Beyond Birth and Death by His Divine Grace Srila A.C.A. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter number 1. We are not these bodies. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. Quote, O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body is eternal and can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any creature. Unquote. Bhagavad Gita 2.30. The very first step in self-realization is realizing one's identity as separate from the body. Quote, I am not this body, but I am spirit soul, unquote, is an essential realization for anyone who wants to transcend death and enter into the spiritual world beyond. It is not simply a matter of saying I am not this body, but of actually realizing it. This is not as simple as it may seem at first. Although we are not these bodies, but we are pure consciousness, somehow or other we have become encased with the bodily dress. If we actually want the happiness and independence that transcend death, we have to establish ourselves and remain in our constitutional position as pure consciousness. Living in the bodily conception, our idea of happiness is like that of a man in delirium. Some philosophers claim that this delirious condition of bodily identification should be cured by abstaining from all action. Because these material activities have been a cause of distress for us, they claim that we should actually stop all these activities. Their culmination of perfection is in a kind of Buddhistic nirvana in which no activities are performed. Buddha maintained that due to a combination of material elements, this body has come into existence, and that somehow or other, if these material elements are separated or dismantled, the cause of suffering is removed. If the tax collectors give us too much difficulty because we happen to possess a large house, our simple solution is to destroy the house. However, Bhagavad Gita indicates that this material body is not all in all. Beyond this material combination of material elements, there is spirit, and the symptom of that spirit is consciousness. Consciousness cannot be denied. A body without consciousness is a dead body. As soon as consciousness is removed from the body, the mouth will not speak, the eye will not see, and the ears hear. A child can understand that. It is a fact that consciousness is absolutely necessary for the animation of the body. What is this consciousness? Just as heat or smoke are symptoms of fire, so consciousness is the symptom of the soul. The energy of the soul or self is produced in the shape of consciousness. Indeed, consciousness proves that the soul is present. This is not only the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, but the conclusion of all Vedic literature. The impersonalist school of Shankaracharya, as well as the Vaishnavas following in the disciplic succession from Lord Sri Krishna, acknowledge the factual existence of the soul, but the Buddhist philosophers do not. The Buddhists contend that at a certain stage the combination of matter produces consciousness. But this argument is refuted by the fact that although we may have all the constituents of matter at our disposal, we cannot produce consciousness from them. All the material ingredients may be present in a dead man, but we cannot revive that man to consciousness. This body is not like a machine. When a part of a machine breaks down, it can be replaced and the machine will work again. But when the body breaks down and consciousness leaves the body, there is no possibility of our replacing the broken part and rejuvenating the consciousness. The soul is different from the body, and as long as the soul is there, the body is animate. But there is no possibility of making the body animate in the absence of the soul. Because we cannot perceive the soul by our gross senses, we deny it. Actually, there are so many things that are there which we cannot see. We cannot see air, radio waves, or sound, nor can we perceive minute bacteria with our blunt senses. But this does not mean that they are not there. By the aid of the microscope and other instruments, many things can be perceived, which had previously been denied by the imperfect senses. Just because the soul, which is atomic in size, has not been perceived yet by senses or instruments, we should not conclude that it is not there. It can, however, be perceived by its symptoms and effects. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna points out that all of our miseries are due to our false identification with the body. Matras parshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agamapaino nityas tam stitikshasva bharata. Quote, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of heat and cold, happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Unquote, Bhagavad Gita 2.14. In the summertime we may feel pleasure from contact with water, but in the winter we may shun that very water because it is too cold. In either case, the water is the same, but we perceive it as pleasant or painful due to its contact with the body. All feelings of distress and happiness are due to the body. Under certain conditions, the body and mind feel happiness and distress. Factually, we are hankering after happiness, for the soul's constitutional position is that of happiness. The soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Being, who is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, the embodiment of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Indeed, the very name Krishna, which is non-sectarian, means the greatest pleasure. Krish means greatest and Na means pleasure. Krishna is the epitome of pleasure, and being part and parcel of him, we hanker for pleasure. A drop of ocean water has all the properties of the ocean itself, and we, although minute particles of the supreme whole, have the same energetic properties of the Supreme. Yeah, we're going to stop here for today, and we shall continue tomorrow. By Krishna's grace. So thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Please check it out and share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.